Welcome to Season 4 of the Dance Reel podcast. Today I'm speaking with Adam Scown, award-winning director and choreographer. Adam has worked extensively in all facets of the dance and entertainment industry, including film, theatre, opera, TV, and commercial dance. Some of those include work with major top-selling recording artists, 3 Olympic and Commonwealth Games, 8 major Hollywood films, including Happy Feet. He's also directed over 38 musicals in Australia and the UK. Adam is a sought-after international dance judge across the globe, and he is now the head of dance at the reputable and very popular Performers College in the UK. I met Adam in South Africa when we were both judging for Dance World Cup. I thought it would be wonderful to have him on our podcast. The conversation today is really beneficial for performers that are thinking of taking the leap and moving overseas to pursue a career. You can find out from Adam what worked for him, what his advice is, also how he transitioned into teaching and then judging work. A very rich episode to start off our season 4. Welcome to my podcast, Adam.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I met you at Dance World Cup in South Africa because we were both judging there.
Yes.
We had a glorious time. And as soon as I heard Australian accent, a little bit of UK, it was so exciting because for me living over here in Germany, just to hear an Aussie accent, it was like, and having a conversation in English, it was so good.
Yeah.
And we had a good time.
It was a great time. We had a good couple of weeks, getting to know each other, reminiscing about Aussie times, and seeing some really great talent. Actually, so it was a perfect couple of weeks.
And we went on a safari and a wine tour. We cannot forget that.
I mean, both were amazing, to be honest. So yeah, like life goals ticked there.
Yeah, we should say thanks, Chris and Tian.
Absolutely.
I was really fascinated with your move from Australia to the UK and what that was like for you, because I know so many Australians. I've got a student over there in London who made the big move, and lots of Aussies wanting to move overseas to launch their careers. So I thought, we'll pick your brain about that. But first, how did you start dance, and what was your dance journey like before you reached that professional stage?
Yeah. I started when I was 3. Dance has been my life, my whole life. It's kind of like intrinsic to who I am as a person. I haven't really known life differently without it. And I remember my parents saying when I was a baby, they used to just pop me on my little baby rug, and I used to bounce around to all the music that they used to play in the home. And I just had this natural instinct for rhythm. And that was it. They popped me into classes, and I hadn't looked back. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to see my journey and my love and hate for it over the years, and how that evolved to where I am now. I remember having a teacher at the time. She was so great, but like really scary for me, 5-year-old me. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I persisted. And so that's how I started. And here we are today. And I wouldn't see life without it actually now.
And you trained full-time. You did your training at Brent Street.
Yes,
What was
I
that
did.
like?
It was great. I went to Janice Breen Performing Arts, like little Coogee school, who did really, really well, and went there every Saturday. And we used to do this show group thing, which was the elite kind of people would come together and we'd perform at different venues. So we were exposed professionally at a young age, which I really appreciate. And that drilled sense of training to be the best, that's where that stemmed from. And then I remember making a change to Brent Street in my teens because I just wanted to grow a little more, and I knew the reputation that they had, and that's where I wanted to be. And then trained there, and then went into my diploma there, which was great.
And what was the transition like from, part-time to full-time?
It was easy for me because I loved it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was kind of wanting to do that every day anyway. And so this just gave me the outlet to do that and be free at doing that. And I didn't have to apologize for wanting to go over dance routines in my living room and consume my parents with the songs that we were, performing. I got to do it every day. So I loved it, and I don't regret that.
Yeah, nice. Now, why the UK? Did you do auditions or how did that come about?
When I left Bren Street, I was really lucky. Got shows quite immediately, really. And I was super lucky, got to work with so many talented Aussies across the board, commercially, musical theatre, TV, film. But there was something in my guts that I just really wanted more from myself. And it was never really, oh, Broadway. Whereas,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no, but it was always about the West End. There was something about the UK that was pulling me over there. And I just remember finishing a show and I was like, if I don't pack my bags now, I'll never go
Yeah.
because the security of, you know, this career that I wanted, I was having. So I took a massive gamble and I had no home, no agent, no bank account. I knew one person who was British and I stayed with him for a couple of weeks. I literally just made the move. And in my head, I knew that it was going to be 2 years because I had an Italian passport. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to go for 2 years, pretend I'm on a working visa and see what happens and come back. And went to an audition, got a job, and just evolved from there. And 2 years has now turned into like 17 years. So I feel like all my adult life has been over there.
Not that we're trying to find your age out, but how old
Yeah.
were you when you moved over?
I moved when I was 23, I think I was. Yeah,
Yeah.
23, 22. So it's coming up to
Yeah.
about 17, 18 years. So um, crazy.
And what was that first job?
The first job I did over here was Dirty Dancing, which was fun, and it was something I always wanted to do. Is I love big dance shows anyway, so it was good fun. I think to be in front of a panel that was British and dance alongside British people, there was a lot to learn from that in how they are trained, their styles, what works for them, what doesn't. It's very different to how us as Aussies train.
So, what are some of the known differences?
One of the things I was always told when I went to audition was to hold back. Like, we're so used to being so top of the game and just really out there and go for gold and, leave your heart on the dance floor kind of thing. And when I first got to Britain, I was like, oh, they seem a little reserved in that situation. I was thinking maybe that's my training. How do I hold back? Because I'm used to just going full on. That's what
Yeah.
it takes for us to kind of get the jobs back home in probably a smaller industry. So that was interesting to adapt to and hear at the same time. But I kind of navigated that. But what I didn't do, I didn't kind of listen to it. I kind of was like, this is who I am. This is what I do. And if you like it, great. And it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Um, so yeah, I just stuck to what I knew.
Yeah. And after Dirty Dancing, what happened after that? How
So we went on tour and then I did a show called Oh What a Night, which I had done in Australia, but I swung in Australia and I was, I think, 18, 17 when I did that show. So to come full circle and do it again in the UK on tour, um, playing a role, that was really quite fun. And then musicals came off the back of that. And then I just fell into the choreography side of things because I knew that that's where I wanted to go. So I was having a performing life parallel alongside a creative life. And I found that over time, as I got older, my passion for creativity and choreography was where I really, really wanted to be. So I delved more into that and then erased more of the performing side. And never say never. If something came up now that I really, really was interested in,
yeah.
sure, but it would have to be the right show for me.
Yeah.
And then that's where we are now, choreographing and being head of dance at a college over here in the UK. I feel like all this experience, it allows me to kind of really help students.
So, for those that are listening that are thinking of making the move, what are some of the challenges you faced when establishing yourself in London's dance scene and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I wish I thought about all this before I went over. For me, it was just let's get on the West End. So, it's interesting you say, but I feel like there's a lot of There is a lot of challenges. I think for me, the biggest was being homesick. I
Yeah.
was so young. And even though I've always been very strong-willed, and even though, that is young, I was like, I've got to go. So I didn't think about the implications of not having family and friends around. So for me, that was quite tough. The industry, I think it was me trying to navigate how many agents I could have commercially versus musical theatre, and what does that look like, and their reputations, and who's going to serve me best as a performer. And so, that's something to really consider. Just really do research, and
Yeah.
also just speak to people, like speak to, Aussies you may or may not know that are over there, and just reach out and get their feedback and life experience on. I think that would help me if I was to move going over there now. If
Yeah.
hindsight's amazing, but now that I've been here for a while, I now kind of know who the casting directors are and who this is and why do you need that, and so they're the two biggest things I would say. And people ask me all the time, what is it like over there? And I think a lot of Aussies, we're so used to the sunshine and great weather that we don't really prepare ourselves for the cold or the winter,
Yeah.
which can be quite grueling.
And a little bit, I mean, over here in Germany, I'm finding it, by the way, when this airs, I'll be back in Australia. So, um, yeah, it's a bit like kind of, I don't want to use the word, but a bit depressing. It's
It
like,
it, it is it is
that's
depressing.
something to actually adjust to, because I even said to my husband this October, it's so much colder and darker than what it was a year ago. It was still sunny. We were doing a bike tour and it's like, oh my gosh. Anyway,
Mm. It absolutely is. I mean, I've kind of become acclimatized.
yeah, I was going to say, how did you adjust to that side of it?
Oh, I think trying to stay positive. I mean, I was really lucky. I had a lot of work, so that kind of got me through the winters. Catching up with people now that I
Yeah,
had a new friend circle, and I was always catching up with people, enjoying the snow, enjoying the colder nights, like making
yeah,
it more of an event rather than, oh God, woe is
yeah,
me, it's cold.
yeah,
Which don't get me wrong, I
yeah,
have had those moments.
yeah.
So that's kind of how I battled that.
Yeah, yeah, and candles inside and making it nice, and
All of
yeah,
that,
all of that.
home ambience.
We're going to get back to that question, but speaking of candles,
Mm.
you kind of know a little bit about candles as well.
Oh gosh, yeah. So yeah, I basically run a candle company, which is bizarre because I feel like I not forget about it, but I enjoy it so much that it does take up part of my life. And when I
Yeah,
when I do have those orders come in, I actually really enjoy doing it because I do it all myself.
yeah,
And I love seeing what people are going to choose scent wise, and it's my happy place. It's where I can just put the iTunes on shuffle and I do it
yeah,
all from home. It's very therapeutic and I love it. And that stemmed off being in COVID, where I remember teaching online day in, day out. And I just was like, this is so monotonous.
yeah,
There's got to be more creatively. And I think that's why I love choreography so much. I can actually just explore different themes, different
yeah.
options, styles. So, yeah, my candle company was born out of COVID and it's still doing well now.
You are so talented. I love it. So before we get to the choreography questions, I want to know, so with the Australian and the UK, you've lived and worked in both environments. What are the
Mm.
key differences you've observed in the dance cultures and professional environments?
I think in Australia, our audition cycle is very different as far as we get to be in the room consistently over a shorter period of time, whereas in the UK, um, they like to exacerbate the audition process a little longer. I think also because there's a lot more people to see. There's a million and one people who are currently in shows, touring in town, those that are coming out of college, recent grads. So there's a lot more to see. So they like to take their time a little more. So
Yeah,
that was a major difference for me. And also going to those auditions and then, you got to a final, but you haven't saw so and so anywhere through the audition process prior. So that was interesting as well. I think also the training, um, and now it's different because now I teach people at college and I try and instill as much of what I learned into my training with them. I'm very gun-ho, like let's just get on it flat out every single time. Stamina's key, core strength, all of those things which attribute to being a great dancer. But I feel like when I first got here, I found a difference in the way people were trained, which again I had to either choose to adapt to or just stay on my own gut feelings and go, this is who I am. This is what I know best,
And what did you do? You stayed on your gut feelings?
stayed on my gut feelings. Yeah,
Of course you
absolutely.
did.
And of
Love it.
course, every now and again, you're gonna maybe waver in certain ways that you approach situations or auditions or how you come at a student to get the best out of them. But deep down, the integral part of that is still what I remember doing when I was younger.
So you are the principal lecturer of jazz and tap at Performers College. What core values do you emphasize to prepare students for the realities of the dance industry?
So core values, I think massively is keeping an integral part of who you are, your individuality. You can have all the best technique in the world, but I feel like I'm enticed not only by talent, but a nice mature sense of wanting to work with dancers, and that can be instilled in their training. It's just how you get the best out of them to keep that personality whilst obtaining XYZ on the dance
Yeah.
front. I find that super important, and that for me is just as good as word of mouth,
Hmm.
because I could be like, I've worked with so and so, and then, oh, did you hear about so and so? Oh, they're really good, and they're such a nice person, which
Yes.
I think in this business, I always choose to want to work with people who I can have a great time with, but also who can deliver the job. I think
Yeah.
that's super important. So for me, I emphasize a lot of my training on that aspect, and to not always just work in the parameters that you feel like you're safe in working,
Mm.
push the boundaries. Who's to say if you this is what you feel when you dance, but what if you felt, or if you pushed it to this degree, how would you feel? And it's just raising the bars and just pushing the barriers a little more that I challenge a lot of my students on.
And in saying that, there's also the importance of then knowing how to dance as a group and also as a soloist. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, what would you say speaking to that as well with maintaining your individuality?
Yeah, I think you can shine in either capacity. I mean, being in an ensemble, yes, we're there for a job and we've got to deliver choreography as a unit, but
Mm.
also you can still be individual in how you express that choreography. I think
Yeah.
that's super important. And again, that then delves into solo featured moments in shows or in
Yeah.
commercial dance. So therefore, you're not just a dancer. You are a human. You are a package deal. I
Mm.
invest in your personality as much as your talent. As I said before, in an oversaturated market, I think that's what captures people's attention.
Yeah. And you and I have had discussions when we were in South Africa around like dance pedagogy and how I've got the approach because I had this authoritarian style upbringing of learning about more about communication and languaging, and you've seen it now go the other way. And I did bring something that you said into one of my previous podcast episodes,
Yeah.
saying, "Well, hang on, are we swinging too much the other way?" What have you noticed about today's generation of dancers that are really training and wanting a career in terms of work ethos?
Yeah, it's interesting because social media is such a big situation, and it's been a complete game changer. Not always for the better. When I was training, we didn't have anything like that. So we were so visceral with what we saw as inspiration. And I remember, my teachers, and even now I just remember them in class and how they were, and in their teaching methods, their approach, their talent, their skill set, and they're still going strong now. And I think that longevity is saying something. So that was without the form of social media.
Yeah.
And now in a generation where tech is so high and you can obtain the next best thing in a click of a button, and what is trending is probably not what's trending in a week's time. So that there's this constant, I guess, scramble to find perfection in dance, but what is that? Sometimes it's not actually even achievable or sustainable. So I find that really interesting when I teach students now. I feel like the drive sometimes isn't always there. And don't get me wrong, we all have long days, hard days, and my drive can dip at times. But I think my passion for what I do always burns through that.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that with students. I think we just need to push more on the drive. Why are you here? Why do you
Yeah.
want to do this? And it's actually okay to come out of 3 years training here with a degree and not want to do the business. That's
Yeah.
totally okay. And I say to my students all the time, success for me is if you're happy. If you're
Yeah.
happy behind a supermarket checkout, amazing. If you're happy doing personal training, if you're happy venturing out and doing nails or rock climbing,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You're happy. Just because you then fall out of love with it, or you've gone to auditions for a year and it hasn't happened for you and you're thinking about, okay, right, I need to change this up. That's fine. You've given it a crack. You
Yeah.
followed what you wanted to do. And sometimes we all reach that point, but at different stages of our life. Doesn't mean you're a failure.
Mm. Yeah.
And those that do go on and do great things, super proud of, because
Yeah.
you've stuck it out. Sometimes it happens quicker for others.
Yeah. And you would have seen a lot of people maybe after college decide they don't want a career and a lot go for it. Is there any method or formula other than being technically the best already? Is there any intrinsic values that you've noticed in the ones that actually do end up being on the stage?
I think it's a sense of growth in their own ability. And I push that more, especially in my third year students. If you don't believe in yourself, how is a creative, a panel of people, a casting director, how are we supposed to believe you? And I feel like what I've noticed is those that do go on to do great things in the industry, that sense of growth has actually expanded because they believe that they can do it and they're worthy of being there. And
Mm.
that's really quite nice to see, and I would say that comes with experience. That comes with the grind of turning up, putting
Mm.
on a face, whether you don't want to be there, but you're there to
Mm.
be cut at auditions. It's okay. That's part of your journey. That's part of growth, because
Yeah.
then when the highs do come, how rewarding.
Yeah.
And that's what I see a lot more so now when I touch base with them when they do leave, and I see those successes. It's nice for
Mm.
them to feel validated.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the effort, the effort of doing over and over and over again and getting
Hmm.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's really, really rewarding for myself, but also
Of
100%
course.
for them.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So, how do you balance artistic expression with the technical demands of dance in your teaching and choreography?
My style is a mix of quite a lot of things. Again, that's why I love choreography, because
Mm.
I get to experiment and push the boundaries, and what I would do for one thing is completely different to something else. Um, and I love artistry. I love going to see things, to be challenged. I love going to prepare something and have a group of dancers in the room who actually inspire me to go left of field with their ideas. I'm very open
Mm.
with that. So for me, artistry is important. Yes, I love strong dancers. So a lot of my choreography and inspiration is primarily dance, but I do love to get people involved, to let their personalities shine. I want them to
Mm.
feel good about what they're doing. Otherwise, what's the point?
Mm. When did you start judging?
Oh, so I started judging 7 years ago, I want to say now. I didn't expect to be doing that, but I love it. And
Yeah.
again, I get to meet cool people,
Yeah. Like
that I
me.
probably, yeah, that I would never, ever probably have met. And I really like that. Like, and I love
Yeah, it's
bonding.
lovely.
Yeah. And I love bonding over dance, and I love bonding over their experiences and their life, and why we're all sat at that panel at that
Yeah,
given moment, what's brought
yeah.
us here. I find that really inspirational. But yeah, I'd say probably a good 7, 8 years ago.
With your judging work, have you found that has expanded your choreography, given you inspiration, seeing as well you're an international judge, so different cultures? How has that influenced you creatively?
Oh, massively. I
Mm,
mean, I remember basically judging overseas, and I had to choreograph a job. The brief was basically down to me to decide what it was. And I was struggling with ideas at the time, but seeing and hearing the influence of particular cultures, I came back and completely shifted. I was so inspired by what I saw that I
yeah,
was like, right, this is what it's going to be.
yeah,
But I love that. Again, I think it
yeah,
challenges me as a creative and a choreographer and teacher to open your mind to just how other people culturally train, what their
yeah.
expectations are, what they can deliver. Um, and I always try and take something out of that,
Mm,
wherever I am,
yeah,
judging internationally. And there's a lot of talent out there, actually, to be honest.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's
it's so
beautiful.
nice to see. It's refreshing.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you do see in your judging work that you have seen that maybe you would like to see changed?
I think for me that the trick element is such a big thing, especially in comp dancing. I feel like as it's trendy to do, I feel like people think that's the thing that's going to gain them the points.
Mm,
But actually, for me, it's just an additional skill.
yeah.
Is it dance? For me personally, probably not. It is a skill. Do I think it's great to have those skills? Absolutely. It's more strings to your bow. But for me, I find I'm glued to dancers who dance.
Yeah.
Eliminate all of that and just give me nice choreography, good technique, and more than that, just a sense of performance, a sense of love for doing what you're doing. And so I think there's a lot of, oh God, that's my dog. Bonnie, stop. There's a dog on the
It's all
TV.
right.
I'm
We can
so
have a
sorry.
pause.
Bonnie, Bonnie,
Hey, Bonnie. Come here, Bonnie.
Bonnie. Okay.
Bonnie.
So yes, for me, I would love to see a dancer who is strong technician, who can deliver really, really good choreography, but on top of that, exude personality and a joy and a love for dance, because
Mm,
it's a hard industry. If we don't
mm,
love what we do, then what's the point? So I do feel like the tricks do override at times. I mean, for me personally, I'm not big on a lyrical routine and all of a sudden we have an aerial in the middle of it. I don't see it enhances anything
mhm,
apart from, oh, that's cool. They've got that skill set. That's just me personally. Costuming, what I would encourage is for teachers to actually rehearse not just once, but multiple times in a costume, because it may look great, but it might not be conducive to, sorry, that's my dog, conducive
Hey,
to
Bonnie.
the routine
Yeah.
or the dancer's shape,
Yeah.
you know? So I think a little more thought and education, or rehearsal really in that,
Mm,
just to prepare the dancer a little more so that weird malfunctions don't happen and take away from what you've worked so hard for.
yeah. And I've noticed some costume design stuff. I saw a piece where the girl was going through a big life change in a lyrical piece, and she was wearing a sparkly outfit. And I'm thinking, a slip dress that's just brown would be enough. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that matching the costume appropriateness to the song choice and then making it age appropriate and some of those things. But, I also wonder if, I know when I had my school, sometimes the parents just get so excited and go buy a costume, and then
Yeah.
it's like, I, oh, check in first. No.
No, yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? I get it. It is exciting, and they kind of want the best. But I
Sparkles.
think, yeah, yeah. Um, But again, I'm big on less is more sometimes,
Mm.
you know. And it all comes from within. I think that's
Yeah.
where it starts, from the joy of what this particular piece means to you and how much you've rehearsed it and how much you love to dance it. For me, that's where it stems, and that's what I look for. The rest is just a package situation, you know. And
Yeah.
it should, costuming, if we're talking there, it should really enhance you
Yeah. Yeah.
or the routine. And that, I think that's super important. I think sometimes that minute detail is the things that, can be the difference between a couple of points between
Mm.
judges.
When you were doing competitions, you did competitions as a young one?
Do you know what? I never did. I only did
Oh,
a couple of like City Sydney or Stedfords in
yeah.
in groups, like big groups,
Yeah.
which I loved. And we were so passionate about going out there and just banging it out. And
Yeah.
we want to win, and there was no shame in wanting to win. But
Yeah.
we were all that you could feel the sense of camaraderie in the group. So that was
Yes.
my only experience comp wise. I was never really a comp kid.
Yeah, right. I
So
never would have
that's what I
thought that
love
about you.
judging, is kind of
Yeah.
seeing these kids who grow up, and even now seeing them when they were like 8 to now 16, and they're still going and they're still learning new things, and watching them grow is actually quite nice from afar, and seeing their improvements or what they've learned or how they own their own skills on stage. That's quite nice to watch.
Mm. So when we were in South Africa, because you had been the 2 years before that, is that right?
Mm. Yeah.
So did you, I'm just curious, remember some students? And if you did you have any self-reflection around judging them or anything like that? Or did you just see growth?
Bonnie, the joy. I'm so sorry. Bonnie, stop stealing my limelight. Right, lay down. Good girl. So basically, yeah, in competitions, of course, you're going to see, kids grow up and change over time. And I recognize faces,
Mm,
but for me, I always judge what I see in the moment. And it's sometimes it's great. They grow and they change. Sometimes they might have a bad day,
yeah,
but I do also remember what they've done previously,
yeah,
which is always quite nice for me. I'm quite perceptive in that regard.
yeah,
I always say I'm really great with faces and not names.
yes,
Um, but for me, that doesn't deter or alter how I judge.
yeah.
Um,
It's funny. I just wanted to speak to it because I know over here, like I've had, and it's probably more the school. I'm doing a few hours a week at a local school, and they had done competitions, and just there's sometimes a naive belief that judges are biased to things that they might have people they might have seen before, and I'm just thinking, like, no, uh,
yeah.
I just getting paid to do a job and judge in the moment of what I'm seeing, and
Yes.
it's interesting, um, and I've I've even with my school some students if some things didn't go their way, like, well, that was because of that, and it's like, honestly, the judge has got so much to do in
Mm.
better things to do than worry about like try and fix an outcome or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's like,
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's so subjective as well.
mm,
And I think that's what's quite nice about it, is that everyone has an opinion, whether
yes,
it's right or wrong,
yes,
but that's art.
yes,
And I like that.
absolutely.
It brings discussion. It, it's open for interpretation again. And that's why I like judging with people, is what I like, you might not like,
Mhm. Yep,
but so and so on the end might like. And
yep,
I find that really important. Again, that comes down to different cultures, different training programs, different backgrounds, career
yep,
paths. Um, but yeah, for me, I don't ever sit there and go, oh gosh, well, I taught at that school,
yeah,
so they're going to get first, second, third. And
yeah.
it never happens like that.
No,
I find I'm super, super fair in that moment.
yes,
There's always a thing of expectation,
yep, yep,
and you always hope that the dancers rise to that expectation for them because I know how hard it is or
Mm.
how hard they have worked to get that routine to that point. And of
Yep.
course, everyone wants to win and do the best. That's why they're there, and there's no
Yeah.
shame in that.
No.
But yeah, to say that I would judge biasly, I've never ever done that.
Yeah, I quite liked judging at Dance World Cup, and I
Mhm.
loved the panel. So the panel thing was obviously that was the second time I'd done a panel job. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it was nice to know it's okay to see it differently. Like, so for me, that's used to judging solo. So,
yeah,
yeah, we get to have our own opinions and it is subjective and it's okay. So,
absolutely. Even
yeah,
my faculty members, how
yeah,
they train and what their experiences, like utilize all of that. It is
yeah.
important.
Understanding what you might look for, what they might look for, and how we all see it differently. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But yeah, I love judging. For me, it's where I get to see where the talent's at
yeah.
and, how things are moving in the right direction, dance wise. So yeah, it's quite nice.
So I want some inside intel. What's been your favorite job creatively? Your favorite job performing?
Oh, wow.
Two separate jobs.
Okay. I think one of my favorite jobs I've ever done performing wise was Happy Feet. Um, because I learned so much on that film about myself, um, about motion capture, um, the people I was with, the cast of people, it was small, but we just had such a laugh and it was such hard work, grueling long days. The choreography was incredible. And I feel like for me, it was so rewarding to see that film come out and know that you had contributed to its visual because it is animation. Some of us had characters, so we did the movement to some characters, and I did a lot for the evil penguin Noah. And then we also did a lot of the ensemble penguins, um, which was incredible because they all walk different ways. Their personalities are different. So going to penguin school and doing all of that and working out how that's gonna relate to our body was super super fun, but also exceptionally interesting. So
It was a great movie. I absolutely loved it.
oh, it was so good.
It was
And
so
that's the thing
good.
when you're making it, you don't really know how it's gonna turn out. Yeah,
So all my kids watch it, even Arlo. Like
yeah.
now, how many years old is Happy Feet now?
Oh gosh, I think I did it in 2005, so we're coming up to
Yeah.
probably 20 years.
So like it's just a classic.
Yeah. Is that 2005? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think so.
And favorite job creatively? That's tough.
What about your current job? You're creating all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah, true that. I am creating all the time. I do a lot of their shows there,
Oh,
their
you love
big
to
dance shows and stuff.
yeah. So
Um,
you're working on the House of Shoe, and
yes, so that
that's
was
gone
my
to
show
stage.
last year. Yeah, that was a big dance show. Creatively dealing with recording artists and the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, that was a
Gee,
big one.
yeah, wow.
Um, and even now, like I'm about to go and do Shrek, which is fun. So I'm going to choreograph Shrek,
Adam,
which is
congratulations. That's so
which is
exciting.
fun. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to that. So I mean, it's hard to say creatively what's been my favorite because all genres have challenged me creatively. Even
Yeah,
opera, who I never thought in a million years I'd ever do that.
yeah,
Um, but I feel like with that move coming to the UK, I probably would never have ventured down the creative route had I
yeah,
stayed in Australia. So
yeah.
that's one thing I do love about it. It's opened me up to a whole broad spectrum of styles,
Hmm.
which I love.
What's one of your most memorable judging jobs and why?
Dance World Cup definitely has been super memorable. I mean, I've been able to go to so many different countries, South Africa to Spain to Vienna or Austria. But for me, I loved South Africa. That was amazing. And both times, I was lucky enough to go both times. And Loved it.
Mm.
Absolutely loved it. I could live there.
Yeah, it's
Easily live
beautiful.
there. I did.
Yeah.
There's something about it that, um, yeah, that just makes me feel a certain way. I don't know. It's weird, but it's really, really lovely. And I feel really lucky to be able to judge internationally for them and a whole bunch of other people as well. Even across the UK, there's so many great comps that I've been involved with and judge finals for. And I just hope that there's way more of that in the future.
Oh, of course there is. For you, Adam Scown.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
So, do you have any words of wisdom for up and coming dancers that are thinking of making the move? What could you advise them?
I think just go for it. Try and not overanalyze too much, but yet do your research, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. I always have that thought. I went there to give it a try.
Yeah.
And if it didn't work and came back to Australia, it's okay. Because there's so many people who don't give it a try. So it's better to experience it, whether that be a success or whether you feel actually it's not going for me or I don't really like it over here and then go home. Doesn't mean you failed.
Mm.
And I find that really important, just having that kind of sense of mentality and know
Yeah.
what you're going there to do. Have a task and go achieve that dream because you just never know.
I'm going to ask you, throw another question. What would you say are the three biggest traits that you have that got you to where you are now? Like your talent, we know all about how incredibly talented you are,
Mm.
but what are the three drivers?
Success, determination, and passion. I love what I do. My
Yeah.
life has been successful because of what I do. There has been ropey periods, don't get me wrong, but as a whole, I have done super well. And I think it is those things, the passion for what I do, even now, I love it. That's never wavered. My drive to succeed is still as high as ever.
Mm.
Um, and the determination to continue to persist. I mean, all those three qualities I still have now, and we're, decades on.
And,
So,
and looking from the outside in, to me, it also appears that you believe in yourself and you trust yourself, like you're trusting your instincts
mhm,
and you're relentless, like so that you have that internal, like, this is what I want, I'm going to go for it.
yeah,
So, yeah, I'm just thinking for people listening, sometimes if they just hear that, they can hopefully start to access that in themselves if they feel like maybe they're lacking a bit of confidence, just maybe a bit of Adam can rub off on you. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's
no.
only taken me so long to actually, I think in this business, you're so looking at what's next. Where am I going to go to next? What's going to pay my bills next?
Yeah.
And it's only taken me this long to actually look back at my career and go,
Yeah.
God, you know what? You've done really well.
Yeah.
And that's not egotistical. That's just
No.
going, you know, both Australia, in the UK, this has been great for you. And I can't wait to see what lies ahead.
And just on that, like, so Australia does have the tall poppy syndrome. So where it's almost like in Australia, it's not acceptable to be successful, have that confidence without someone chopping you down.
Yeah.
Um, have you noticed that? And do you have any advice on how to manage that?
I think, again, just stay focused on you.
Mm.
It's hard enough as it is. People are always going to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I learned that
Mm.
very, very early on. People aren't going to like what you produce. They're not going to like how you dance. They might not even like you as a person,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. There's room for everyone. So, and as long as you stay true to what you want, where you want to go, and be a nice person, be
Yeah.
kind,
Yeah.
then the world's your oyster, I say.
Oh, Adam, that's so beautiful. You have given so much wisdom to younger dancers listening and also teachers and other creatives. So thank you so much. That was such a fun, beautiful episode. Yeah.
Oh, no worries. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Hope I get
How
to see you
exciting. Here's
again.
to the next one.
Yay!